Today, I want to share with you a really successful drawing activity that you can do with a broad range of ages and with students who have very little or even no drawing experience. This is called bilateral mirror drawing. It is truly a quick win. It checks all the boxes for me as an art teacher. It is collaborative, it is engaging, it is very low prep, low materials. You could literally do it with any paper or drawing materials you have. And it is something that you can build upon. And I like to do it as a way to review the elements of art and principles of design. This activity also connects with contemporary art practice. There are several contemporary artists that you can share with students. Some of the ones that I like to share are Michael Namkung, who actually was a classmate of mine in graduate school. He had this whole thing called Drawing Gym, where people would do some bilateral movement exercises, but also draw. Another artist that you can share with your students is Heather Hansen. She does kinetic drawings that are bilateral, very much connected to dance and choreography. Another artist is Tony Orico, an artist from the Midwest, and he also creates large bilateral drawings, and in the end they almost resemble brains and all the neural pathways connecting the brain. The way that we set up this activity is students come, they collect any materials they want to use, chalk pastel, painter's tape, and a piece of paper, and they set up their tables so they can both reach the center of the paper. Once we did that, I did set them up a bit. I had them do some breathing and rolling their shoulders back, and then I put on some very relaxing kind of jazz music for them to listen to, and we started drawing. Students can have one person start and then follow and then keep going that way, and over the course of the activity, I found that this becomes more fluid, where students don't have to say, oh, are you going? Are you going? It just kind of starts to flow. At one point, I do put up some images of drawings that have been filled in, where texture has been added, and I find that students end up doing some blending and smearing with their fingers, but I do want them to spend a good amount of time on this drawing and to really develop it and develop this work with their partner. So I don't let them just kind of be like, I'm done, because there is a tendency for students to want to do that. So you kind of have to push through that. And I've mentioned to them the importance of artistic endurance when drawing. The wonderful thing about bilateral mirror drawing is that you have to be very aware of what you're doing in the moment. You have to be aware of what your partner's doing, and you have to draw with both hands, which can be pretty challenging. I actually had not done this activity myself the first time I taught it, and then having watched the students doing this activity, I realized I really need to experience this myself. It really is a different experience when you are the artist, so I would encourage you before you teach this to try it out. So the following class, I showed students a slideshow reviewing the elements of art. Whenever I show slideshows, I like to pause and do partner pair share activities. We discuss artworks where line is dominant or shape is dominant, and students discuss what they notice, what they see, and we use a lot of descriptive words to discuss the type of lines that we see, or type of shapes or colors or textures. And this is a fairly brief discussion. I've linked the slideshow that I like to use below in the description. Just make a copy to your own Google Drive if you'd like to edit it. At the end of the slideshow, I like to show a few artworks where I haven't identified which elements are dominant and subordinate, and I have students discuss it in their partners and then share out to the group what they think are dominant and subordinate. This really sets up our activity where students look at their own bilateral drawing and think about what elements are dominant or subordinate. So for example, in this one, I do see a lot of shape and line and texture. So students can then decide to make another artwork, a drawing or collage, where they take a different approach, where one of the elements that are dominant in the original drawing is now subordinate. So for example, I could do this in pencil and do a lot of shading and make value dominant. Or I could do it in black Sharpie and do a lot of lines and make line dominant. I also, this year, made a little bit of changes and made colored paper available for students to begin collaging, because this lesson leads into a Quilts of G's Bend inspired collage lesson. And so it really did help students kind of make that bridge into the next lesson. It's really great to see students using art vocabulary, using art language. If they have the words to describe something, they're able to deepen their thinking about visual elements. That is what I have found. I hope you try this activity and that your students enjoy it as much as mine did. If you are looking for any of the resources that I mentioned in this video, they will be linked in the description, and I hope to see you again in another video. Bye!